Welcome to the Republican Professor. Today, we are backing up the LJM Facebook page, and we have March 15th, Sunday, 2020. That's when our church shut down. And I did a little reflection uh, on Facebook Live. We're going to take a look at that, back it up for posterity. The last one we did was a Friday observation, uh, March 13th, a couple days before, where I had spoken at a Republican women's group in LA. The highways were totally empty. The gun stores were packed. I narrated that interesting experience, and here we go on March 15th. This is Sunday, March 15th, 2020, 11:38 p.m. Um, so here we go with this wonderful record. So glad we have this record. Um, 6 comments, so let's get going.
Coming at you live. We got out and about today. We wanted to support our local businesses, realizing that a lot of people are being affected financially. It's the nature of our system, our economic system, that it requires participation. The government can't solve everything, every problem. And I'm just gonna say this, okay? I'm gonna just say it. Do I think that the Democrats would use a public health scare to try to win the election, the presidential election in the year 2020? Yes, I do believe that. So I said it. Yes, I do believe that. The strongest thing that I think Trump has going for him is the economy. That is what is vulnerable in a public health scare. So, yes, I do believe they would play the card that they're dealt. Um, so, we're supporting local business. I urge you to do the same thing. We lost money today for the first time. So, we're on track to lose money. I get paid. I'm on staff at a church, and I only get paid when church is in session, right? So we did not have church today. So for the first time I since I've been there. So I do security and I do other things, and there was no church, so I did not get paid. We lost money, and we're on track to lose money again this week. A lot of businesses are in that situation where they are vulnerable. So I would ask you to keep in mind churches and businesses, and we'll pull through this. I personally think that people are going to start seeing very soon that yeah, this is kind of BS. A lot of this stuff is histrionic. And if I'm wrong and we all die, okay, I will admit I was wrong if we all die. I hope you guys are well. Got my Orange County gun owner's hat on, and I hope you guys take good care. Make sure you're getting rest and vitamin C. And I'm really not trying to be cranky. I'm just trying to be honest. I do think that Democrats are so desperate. They've that's like the most obvious thing in the world from the last 3 years. Democrats are so desperate that yes, they would use a public health scare to try to win the 2020 election. Just being honest with you. Hey, I was on the campuses when Trump won, and I'll tell you a couple of things that I saw. On the way to work, In the city of Los Angeles, traffic was being blocked by Democrats, throwing their fit. They were vandalizing things. They were leaving trash. I mean, they were just trashing things. This is the party of the environment, right? No. But you should have seen the Women's March. Yeah, they left behind so much trash. Anyway, okay, so they blocked traffic. They were just, and by the way, they're blocking traffic from Democrats getting to work, as if, you know, it makes no sense. It's just hysteria for hysteria's sake. That's the first thing I'll tell you. The second thing is that we started getting emails on campus after Trump won, immediately after Trump won, emails from the administration saying that special counseling services were available for those people who were traumatized by the results of the election. And the backhandedness of this love was so insidious and so creepy that, I mean, it really made me sick to my stomach. It really made me sick to be on campus. I felt it. It was this oppressive spirit of just, I don't know if you've ever, I talked to a lot of homeless.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and get the counter on the bottom where I can see it
Sudden
visibly.
oppressive spirit of, it really made me sick to be on campus. I felt it. It was this oppressive spirit of just, I don't know if you've ever, I talk to a lot of homeless people in my job because we I talk to a lot of folks that you're having a normal conversation and all of a sudden they're talking about how Navy SEALs are following them and are crawling down the wall. And so, I mean, it could go from normal to crazy in like 2.5 nanoseconds. That's like my typical life dealing with like security and stuff in church and dealing with homeless people. It was like that on campus when Trump won. It's like the people you normally pass, all their issues were coming out, all their like crazy ways they see the world were coming out. And everything was about them being attacked, every little thing. So they were having special counseling sessions. I mean, it was so politically biased and one-sided. It was shallow. It was the ironic thing was it was just deeply ironic walking through campus with all these really smart people that have it together and they're falling apart and they have 10 year they have total job security. I didn't have job security, but they did. And they're acting like the sky is falling and that they need it's their job to kind of comfort, the members of our community. They have these certain phrases and code words that are really just kind of lashing out, right? Any Republican that might be getting this email when Mitt Romney lost on campus, I never got any emails like that. I mean, yeah, when I was on campus, I was a professor at that time. I was a professor when Obama beat John McCain. I never got any offers for counseling or anything like that. Of course, the implication is that you don't need it because what's your problem if you're sad that Obama lost? What would be your problem? What's your problem? Are you, oh, so you're a racist? I mean, it's just so backhanded and so insulting. And of course, they think that they're so morally pure about everything, and you can't even have a conversation with them. That's pretty typically, and they're a bunch of great inflators. They don't even know how off the wall they really are and how they sound. I mean, just it, It's like Disneyland. It's like if you're walking through Disneyland and they think the characters are real. And you know they're not real, but they think they're real. And they think there's a problem with you. Maybe not the best analogy, but that's what I got right now. So uh, I'm just telling you from the inside, this is what radical Democrats are like. They are unhinged. And they most of them don't have businesses. They don't even know anything about what it's like to run a business. I taught business for over 10 years on college campuses. I taught public policy on three college campuses, Pepperdine. Well, I guess I could count Loyola Marymount because I did teach ethics there, and I did incorporate a lot of policy stuff. So four campuses, I guess. Well, if you count every place I taught ethics, that would be now it's getting to seven campuses. So I've taught all over the place, policy issue areas. Upper level, I've taught three or four different colleges, five colleges. Geez, holy cow! Um, and I've seen a pattern. First of all, political bias, which is pervasive. It's and people just act like it's just normal. That's why I say it's like Disneyland. It would be like they go, oh, there's Goofy, and they really think it's Goofy. Like they really think it's Mickey, and you're thinking, okay, it's just a guy in a costume. You don't know that. It's sort of like that. It's so you have these students and you'll have business majors in class and upper level business people and political science people, and they won't know basic stuff like what it's like to run a business. They won't know, like, you'll have to point out, the government gets money from taxes, right? So income tax, for example, if you're not making income tax, they don't get that tax money. You know that, right? Right. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, all right, I got it. Oh yeah, yeah. But it's like, dude, you're about to graduate and you don't know this. Where do you think the money? What do you think? Where do you think the government gets its money? And so there's just this like kind of magical thinking about the government just has money. It will have money, and the government money will be available. And it's like, no, if the government, if you're not making money, they don't make that income tax for your payroll, for your, you know, your unemployment tax, your, capital gain tax. Hello, you know, the local and state government, they're not making money if you're not buying stuff. That's called sales tax. I remember just explaining it. You guys know on the receipt, there's sales tax, right? You look at that, you get a bunch of those receipts together, that money gets really big, and that's how it funds like police. I mean, the grade inflation is so bad. These students are so distracted that they're about to graduate. They have me as a professor, and they're just now figuring this out. Like, okay, so if you're not out there buying stuff, the sales tax revenue does not go to the local city, county to fund like the fire department, that costs money. There's no indication, and there's no, so last week I got to church. It was or was it last week? 2 weeks ago. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago? I guess it was 2 weeks ago. Got to church to open up the church, and there's this homeless guy and his girlfriend out there, and he had just taken a crap right next to the steps of the church. A very Democrat move, by the way. Um, Not kidding. It's, I mean, the same mentality. Like it just magic. It will just clean itself up. Somebody does that. It's somebody's job. Anyway, so this guy left a mess. Um, and how much of this story do I want to tell you? I don't want to gross you out. Um, I'm dealing with it there the best I can. It's smelling. People are walking into our church. This affects our income, right? Because if people don't show up to church, they don't give, when the basket goes around. Like, how do you think I get my check? I mean, I don't get a big check, but still it pays for groceries and it pays for gas and stuff like that. And I mean, people leave and they don't, that affects us. Like some guy taking a dump right there on the steps affects us. Well, he laid down to take a nap and she started freaking out and she called on her cell phone. They have cell phones. And she called 911 and the fire engine came out and they checked it. 10 minutes later, he wakes up and he's like eating some Cheetos. And you know how much it costs to send that fire engine there? $5,000. Where do you think that money comes from? I mean, it's just like they just think it grows on trees. That's like what the college campuses are pushing out. These kids have no idea how things are funded and how big the government is, how much it eats up with pensions and healthcare promises and salary and vacation, and paid stuff. So these professors, they're just out to lunch. I mean, they get paid either way, right? That all these colleges and schools are going online. They don't lose any money. They suffer. I guarantee you, the average person on campus just assumes that these mom and pop businesses will be, just go online like we do at school. Just go online. No, they depend on foot traffic, people coming in. Some of these people are barely hanging on. They don't just have a job for the semester, and then they make sure they get Columbus Day off. They make sure, in the negotiations. So yeah, it's a very naive view of the economy. Um, and I know from the inside, I'm seeing the business majors, I'm seeing the Democrats that they're squirting out, I'm seeing the people that like Bernie. I've had these conversations about the minimum wage. The minimum wage is such a good example of the type of thinking, the type of magical thinking that occurs with Bernie lovers, because the minimum wage is zero. That's the minimum wage, which is what I made today. I made the minimum wage. uh, the idea that you could just artificially demand that people pay XYZ dollars and that in no case you could go below that legally, even if it's something you mutually agree to. Um, that puts people out of work. And they know it does. They know it does. I point it out all the time. I remember having conversations years ago about the fight for 15. Everybody was saying the fight for 15. We want McDonald's hamburger flippers to make $15 an hour. I said, well, guess who you're paying? You're paying engineers that are building robots that are going to replace you. You're paying really for the exportation of your job to China. Well, how's that, Professor? Well, because where do you think that software and those computers and those little things, those those gadgets that they put in McDonald's take your place? Where do you think they're going to be manufactured? They're going to be manufactured in China. And they're not making $15 an hour in China, which is why they're being made in China. And you're going to lose your job. Well, it's a shitty job anyway. It's a shitty job anyway. I'll give you another example. California just passed AB 5, which took the gig economy, which is, in other words, independent contractors, and it forced most of those to go away and to be W-2. I mean, this is how infantile Democrats see the economy. So they took themselves to be saving Uber and Lyft and to make sure they can join the union because at that time Uber and Lyft drivers were independent contractors and that's why they had the flexibility that attracted so many people to drive for those companies. Well, now if you have they wrote the legislation in such a broad way that it covers not just Uber and Lyft, but everybody, including like musicians and including uh, people that are just hired randomly to do stuff. And the people that get the most press are the writers, the people that are doing the freelance writers. Those are the people that have probably made the biggest noise about it. Shocker, because they're writing about it. That's their job. And now they're thinking about making an exception for writers. They put in the law that the writers can only write 35 pieces before they're a W-2 employee. That doesn't make any sense for some of these businesses to do that, to bring them on as a full-time employee or a regular employee where they have to pay payroll tax and unemployment and all that stuff. Workers' comp, all that stuff. So it just takes the flexibility out of the economy because they're so desperate to try to get people to be able to unionize. I mean, just like so infantile. So now churches are forced to uh, hire people that used to like consult or freelance as like W-2s or something, like to try to force something in that. And even churches, and I'm thinking, what church has a union? I mean, this is just the most ridiculous thing in the world. Can you imagine, your church staff, trying to form a union and bargain? The hell are you talking about? So, this is the world we live in California. By the way, they watch California because whatever they do in California, if they get federal stuff, that's what they're going to try to shove down your throat federally. That's why they want to get rid of the Electoral College because the Electoral College would prevent that. You guys got to keep your eye on this stuff, man. It's not all about guns. I mean, guns is just like the clearest thing, but like the economy, dude, I mean, that's the lifeblood of our civilization. And one good thing that has come out of this, though, in California is that the precious mom and pop gun stores that were so vulnerable for being just pushed out of business just got a breath of life here. Lines out the door. You can see the latest photo that I posted on Instagram. I'm at the Republican Professor on Instagram and on Twitter. And I posted one of my former students gave me a picture that she took in LA. Isn't it great? By the way, isn't it great to keep in touch with former students? I had this girl 12 years ago, and she's sending me stuff. Isn't that great? I just love that. Anyway, so she's sending me this photo that she took in LA at a gun store, uh, and it's got guns, very clean knives and stuff, and the line is around the block. And so the gun stores have probably got the business that they really needed. But I'm worried about other businesses, so um, my sister was in town, so we met at Cheesecake Factory today and gave them some business, threw some business there. We had some gift certificates. Thank God, because I didn't make any money today. And we uh, we threw some money out there for these people and helped the economy. And we were all safe, we kept our distance. We washed our hands. We're not coughing on anybody. We're avoiding anybody that looks sick. And so anyway, prepping, prepping for the next disaster. Uh, as far as preparations go, we're fine. I mean, I have no anxiety at all. I'm looking around and I feel bad for people that have so much anxiety. I really don't. And I'm an anxious person. I really do struggle with anxiety. But I haven't had any anxiety about this at all. Um, and that's because I'll tell you why, if you're interested. So many times, a little bit about my psychology, if you're really interested. Um, so many times when I've been teaching, I've been in deep in LA and avoiding traffic, and I pop into Walmart, years ago. And as I'm in Walmart, I would have, I told you I was an anxious person, right? I would all of a sudden have not a panic attack or anything like that, but just a what if, like, oh my gosh, what if we ran out of water? What if our stove didn't work and I couldn't boil water? What if the lights went out? What if? And I didn't have that every single time, but over enough times, I would leave Walmart with a whole buggy. Don't you love that word buggy? It's like pamphlet, it's like skit. But I would leave a whole buggy worth of stuff that I didn't need. They found out, for example, that you know, should I say this? I'll say it. You guys are all grown-ups, right? I said, yeah, honey, I have extra tampons for you. I bought them like 3 years ago. What husband does that? I do because I would just think about that at the time I'm at Walmart and I would buy extra stuff. So I bought extra toilet paper years ago. I bought extra water years ago. I bought extra food years ago. I was actually kind of excited that maybe I could get my wife to eat an MRE and we could have one together because there's too much in one. So the food I had last night, the pasta I had last night has been in my cabinet for probably a decade. So anyway, I think it's good. I mean to prepare. I think as a Christian, I think it's good to think about other people and to consider being able to be helpful to people in time of need. Having said that, it is super annoying when people just take advantage of your preparation and they'd never give a thought to it themselves, you know. And then they come to you, I mean, now at some point you're kind of enabling and uh, you know, it's tacky. It's so tacky. I buy stuff for the church, and so I kind of manage our resources on that stuff, and they're very thin resources. So I buy the water, I buy all the coffee stuff, I make all the coffee, I buy the moo you know, what do you call those things? The creamers, I buy so I always get the best deals. I look for the best deals. And I'll see a homeless guy come in and put a bunch of those moo in his pocket, and and he doesn't stay for the service. He comes in at the very end and just takes. That's what he does. He just takes, like it's just going to be an endless supply. So I have to kind of take him aside and explain. that those things don't grow on trees, and we don't have it in this budget. We're not, I'm not Mike Bloomberg. I'm not Bernie Sanders. I can't just buy three houses. So, we're doing the best we can here, but can you please like lay off the moo Maybe, grab a couple at at McDonald's because that's like $1 billion corporation and they probably don't care. And another thing is when it go into the men's bathroom, the tackiest thing in the world, I replaced the little hand soap. One's missing. And I know it's a homeless guy who's taking it. Why? Well, because normal people don't leave pubic hair in the freaking sink. And how do I know it's pubic hair? Well, that's a more advanced conversation we could maybe have. So, but it's just Democrat thinking. I mean, we're all prone to it. I think we're all little Democrats. We have to become Republicans. Republicans are the adults of American politics. The Democrats are the children. There's a lot of really big children out there. And yes, to tie this back to what I started with, I do believe that Democrats would use a public health scare to try to win the 2020 election. Be still my heart. Be still my heart. So, do you guys have any thoughts? Hello, Ken from Canada. Wow. How are you guys doing in Canada? It must sounds cold. Also sounds beautiful. Every photo I've ever seen of Canada is beautiful. I've been there too, a couple times. Um, you guys stay safe out there, okay? Prep, prep for the sake of helping, but at the same time, you can't just be. We have to kind of be a presence where we teach people. Like I figured out that a lot of people they really need. A lot of us need to become teachers. We have to teach people that you got to you got to grow up and you got to take responsibility. You have to think about stuff. I mean, seriously, guys, some of these people in Walmart running people over to get the bottled water. Really? I mean, seriously, it's just so tacky. I really feel bad for these people that didn't have ammo. The gun stores were packed all through the Southland, packed. Uh, from San Diego up to, how do I know this? Because I called Poway Weapons and Gear. I called them at like almost 10 p.m. I said, "Were you guys busy today?" He says, "We're still busy." Are you kidding me? This is 2 days ago. Turner's in Orange, line out the door. Fowler's, a mom and pop store in Orange, out the door. Uh, Lines out the door. I know Culver City, that gun place that I took a pic that my student took a picture of. Line out the door. I saw it with my own eyes around the block. And I saw with my own eyes in Burbank, Guns Direct, packed. Burbank Ammo and Guns, packed. Gun World, packed. All of those three gun stores within a block, within a mile of each other. Oh, come on, guys. You got to think ahead. You got to think ahead. And I know not everybody has the money to kind of plan ahead, um, but just think like, if you have like that's what I would think. I remember one time, I'll tell you a story, and this might be interesting. Um, my car broke down in the San Fernando Valley. I was having car problems at the time. The Lord brought me someone on Facebook that gave me a new car. Praise the Lord. Thank you, and you know who you are. Um, I've been told to keep that anonymous, but I was having a hard time with my car, and this particular day it was really hot, and San Fernando Valley is known to be hot, and I had come from LA, from Loyola Marymount. I went up the coast and I went over the hump to Topanga Canyon. And I had a class in the valley, so I went over Topanga Canyon this day. I think it was the first day. There was accidents, and so I was going this strange route. I don't normally go Topanga Canyon. Topanga Canyon is like a rural area, smack dab in the middle of LA County, and it's like backwoods. It's, there's billionaires and hicks and hippies out there. So I went over the hump from the coast into the, over the Santa Monica Mountains into my car was starting to overheat and my transmission was screwing up. And I basically coasted and uh, I figured out that when it was cooler, it would shift gears fine, but I didn't know what was going on, and I was a little bit afraid of getting home, and so I left it there, and I was in the valley, and I was near a Walmart. I was walking distance to a Walmart. I was about a half mile away from a Walmart. So I was like, okay, I have time. I'm gonna go kill time. I'm gonna go get some ice cream and do some self-care and let my car cool down and hopefully the at night when I'm driving home, it'll be cool enough and I won't be stuck in traffic. I'll be driving and the cool air will cool my car down and I'll get home and then I'll take it to the mechanic the next day. So I'm walking to Walmart and I get in there and I look for some ammo, and this is in the city of Los Angeles. They don't sell ammo in Walmart. That's what I figured out. Oh, they don't sell ammo in Walmart in the city of Los Angeles because it's so much of a hassle. The city just harasses them. So that's when I realized, oh, there's a difference between being in the city of Los Angeles and just outside the city, because the Walmarts out just outside the city would sell ammo, no problem. So okay, so I was walking around and I just started like putting stuff in the back. I was like, I'm gonna buy this backpack and I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff that like survival stuff, and I just loaded up this backpack and I think I spent like, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. I mean, I at the time I thought maybe I was wasting money, but it was a few $100 of stuff. And I probably looked, and I'm walking, I've got this backpack on. I'm coming back to my car and I'm going to go teach my class. And I just loaded up. This is years ago. And, I would do that. And, we're fine. I had no anxiety about this at all. I was just like, is this all really? I mean, the lights are on, you know, we got gas, give me a real problem, kind of thing. So, but people they never, they'll go to Walmart many times and they'll never have the thought that this could all just go away. How lucky we are. So many of my students would not have the view of how lucky we are. Like they would have a view of how bad is it? And it's like, no, no, this is not bad. You don't understand. It could get a lot worse. How bad is it that a burger flipper makes $10? Well, that burger flipper could maybe get nothing, possibly, when he gets laid off and there's a robot doing it. But it's a shitty job anyway. It's a shitty job anyway. Oh, well, okay, but it's a job. Maybe you should let people make a choice whether it's a shitty job or not. The architect of AB5, the one of the ladies that was, she yelled at one of her constituents when the constituent said he lost all his gig economy jobs. And she goes, well, those were shitty jobs anyway. And he lost like his three jobs that were keeping him afloat. That was her reaction. That level of hostility to just people trying to make it. That's why I believe Democrats would use a public health scare to try to win the election. Because I've seen it. I've seen it in California. They have contempt for people that work. They have contempt for people that are trying to make it. And look, if you prepare, you can help your family, but you might be surrounded by neighbors that don't prepare, and then they come to you, and it's like, well, now you have to decide how much you help them, and Um, so I'm thinking you got to become a teacher. You gotta, unfortunately, you got to explain this stuff. You got to think that it might not always be this way. You know, God forbid the worst happens, but you can do basic things. I mean, I started thinking, what if we were without water for 3 days? What would I do? What if my stove didn't work? How would I boil water? What if the lights went out? What do I need to see? Lighting technologies. I would love to get solar. I don't have that. And I'm not even like a great prepper or anything like that. I mean, there's so many people that are so far beyond. They've got solar, they've got backup solar, they've got all sorts of cool stuff that I can't afford right now, but it's on my radar, you know? And I appreciate that. And I learn from that. And so many people, it's not even on their radar. They'll go to the store and they'll just be like, oh, it will always be this way. I am entitled to it being this way. No sense of how the world has been. No sense about that. No sense of how the world could be. Um, okay, well, yeah, I've complained and moaned long enough, I guess, tonight. John, you're saying your favorite gun store is in Turlock and it was busy. Oh, yeah, Turlock. That's the home of 511, I think. 511 Tactical. I know exactly where that is. Yeah, awesome. I'd love to swing by there at some point. We're gonna pop up the what highway is it? I guess we're gonna go up the 99. We're gonna go up to Three Rivers, I think, to the Sequoias here pretty soon. I'm gonna use my time off effectively to go visit some big forests and stuff. Why? Because I'm entitled to it. I'm talking like a Democrat. Because it will always be this way, and I'm entitled to it. And it's just magical how it happened that way. Oh, wow. You guys have any other questions or comments or topics you want to talk about in the future? Any, everybody hanging in there? I really think that pretty soon people are going to be like, this is BS. This is freaking BS. I just saying, just saying. This histrionics, man. Didn't see this with the swine flu in 2009, and I was on campus and we had online technology. This push to get online, oh my goodness. What a crock. What a freaking crock. Online stuff, guys, it's not good. It's just not good. It's BS. It's just BS. How long does it take for people to figure this out? I in person, and I've taught online. I've done it. I've done it. I'm telling you, I've done it. It's BS. It's a paycheck. And there's not a professor that teaches online that will tell you any differently if they're being honest. It's a paycheck. You're just a bureaucrat. You're a street level bureaucrat. You're getting paid. Yeah. For me, man, education can't just be that. I can't do it. I mean, yeah, it pays the bills, but no, no. There's hearts and minds. When I see those names, those are people, man. Those are freaking people. When I see BS in a paper, I'm like, that's a person's soul. That's what they believe. I no, 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 no. So in class, I mean, I need to push back on this. I got to get them to talk. I got to get them to see if they're doing the reading. You know, online. How do you tell if they're they're doing the reading? You give them open book tests. You can't tell if they're doing the reading. Give me a break. Give me a freaking break, guys. We're not challenging students to become adults. We're not challenging them. We're not teaching them wisdom. were bullshitting and putting a stamp on it, calling it education. And it's all Democrats, by the way. If it was all Republicans with that mess, I mean, would we put up with it? I asked my students, if you had all Republicans teaching and it was students that were leaning Republican, would anybody think that was weird? Would you think that was weird? Would you put up with that? They would be like, well, that would be indoctrination. What do you think it is now? Hello? Hello? Those same people would complain about me. I once had a Cal State class there, and there was a rebel rouser. There was one or two people that were instigators. They Most of the class failed the midterm, which was the same midterm I had been giving for about almost a decade, almost. And it was, I could tell during class they weren't adequately preparing. They weren't passing the quizzes, you know, and they weren't coming to office hours. So and I think I pretty much gave them uh, fair notice about everything that was on there. They acted like it was just they were so persecuted. And oh, by the way, I had the same section, a different class, and they had a totally opposite. It was a Saturday section, and those people work, and they're more mature, and they had the opposite reaction. They did fine on the midterm C's and B's. But this one class, you know, and there was somebody that tried to get me fired from that. That happened to me, and it was very stressful for me because they were just making up lies about me. And it's all Democrats that want that these the same Democrats that are sending emails when Trump is elected for special counseling for members of our community that might be traumatized. Because people are going to just get deported, because Trump's going to come on campus and haul, you know, what's a good deportation name? Randy. Haul Randy out, right? We all know Randy's getting it deported. Yeah, I don't think I saw anybody get deported. Yeah, that was all just a bunch of histrionic bullshit. You don't have any idea how many signs I said, "Don't deport my students." Don't, there, I mean, they were like, I saw like five signs on one professor, just one professor's office. I mean, it was just all over campus, and it's like, yeah, how many times does that happen? Like zero, pretty much zero. That didn't happen. It was just a bunch of bullshit. And by the way, I told that professor, I said, and this is at LMU, I said, you only care about your students not being deported if they pay tuition. You're such a hypocrite. I mean, I didn't say that last part, but in my mind, I was like, such a freaking hypocrite because you want to get paid. You got that big house, you got that big payment, you got that big freaking car you're driving, a nice fancy car, your electric car or whatever the hell it is. These six-figure bureaucrat Democrats, self-righteous idiots. They're so out to lunch. They're so out to lunch on this stuff. I can't even stand it. Okay. You guys, hope you're well. Take care.
All right. Well, as you can see, that's Sunday, March 15th, 2020 at 11:38 p.m. That was the first closure day of our church where I was on staff, and I still am on staff. Um, the date of this recording is 22 October 2024. And so I'm backing this up here for posterity. Um, we
The new
will, okay, so we did this. Oh, 837 views. Geez, that's a lot. So we got this one next, civil rights.
Common at
Let's see when that is. It's Wednesday. So a few days later. that same week, Wednesday, March 18th, 2020, we're going to hit a neglected aspect of civil rights, liberty of contract. And we did cover that on the Republican Professor podcast, which was launched about a year later. Well, the first episode was recorded in 2021, but it really got going in 2022. So
Still live. How's it?
we'll stop there, and thanks for hanging out.